Hey y'all, good morning or good afternoon, whenever you're watching this. This is Miss Grant going over the distributive property for her class. We are going to make a beautiful foldable, a blue foldable that we're going to do some examples with. And then that'll be it, a quick lesson today. So this is kind of our end game here. Mind you, I put my objective in the wrong spot. I realize it's a little too tall, but that's okay. So we're going to make a blue foldable, so make sure that you grab the blue piece of paper with the lines on it. It has some words on the back. Make sure you grab that from the worksheet bin if you do not already have that. Otherwise, Ms. Grant already gave it to you in class. All right. So when we talk about the distributive property, this is one way to write equivalent expressions. We've also kind of touched on this when we were talking about GCF, so we're kind of bringing that back here. Okay. So we want to start off with our objective. Our objective is actually going to go on the side of our paper in order for us to see the objective and the foldable at the same time. So our objective for today is I can use the distributive property to write equivalent expressions. Equivalent expressions, meaning the same kind of expression, you'll get the same answer, it's just written a different way. And we're going to learn a bunch of properties, but this is the first one, and this is the one you'll see most often, is the distributive property. Okay, so make sure you have that in your notebook. All right, the second thing is we're going to make this beautiful blue foldable here. Notice it has a solid line and a dashed line. We are going to cut on the dashed line only. Okay, so take your beautiful scissors and cut on the dashed line only. And you cut up just to the solid line, that's it. Okay, this is so we can make windows. Okay. You also want to fold them back because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be folding them back. At the end of classes, when we're going to glue them all together, we like to do that gluing just about last. So make sure you fold these back. They don't have to be perfect. Your windows don't got to be perfect. Okay. So ideally, you'll hold this down and you'll glue this part down when we're done. And you'll have one beautiful flap and two beautiful flaps. Okay. All right, this first one, there are two parts to the distributive property. One where you can factor using the distributive property, or you can distribute using the distributive property. The first one we're going to talk about is factoring, and I left these blanks so that students could get creative with their covers, so they can kind of doodle. Okay. With factoring, we definitely want to make sure that we're pulling the GCF out. So I kind of want to put a little visual there. You're pulling out the GCF. And if we want to label that second one, just because if we have a marker out, we're going to label this one distributing. So we're going to distribute one term to each term on the inside. All right, so let's start with factoring. Okay, so if we pretend our flap is here, we hold it down, we're going to open it up, and we're going to do three beautiful examples. Okay. Notice how Miss Grant actually put some step-by-step instructions here for you in her beautiful handwriting. Okay, so we're going to do three examples. A, B, C. One of the words is going to be I do, we do, and then you do. Okay, so our first one is going to be 6x plus 9y. All right. If we look at the steps given, the first step is to pull GCF out of parentheses, even if it's a variable, meaning sometimes your greatest common factor is going to be a variable, and that's totally cool. Okay. If we look at 6x plus 9y, we have to notice, okay, well, what do they share there? They don't share variables, so I'm not going to pull out a variable, but they do share some numbers. They share 6 and they share 9. Okay. I want to look at what's the GCF between 6 and 9. Okay. And you can do your little T-chart where you've got 6. You've got 9, and you write your factors. So 1 times 6 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, and that's about it. For 9, you've got 1 times 9, and you have 3 times 3. And your GCF is going to be 3. Okay? So you can do your cheat charts, and sometimes you'll just know. Okay? So our GCF in this case is going to be 3. So our second step is to write the GCF outside of parentheses and then leave other factor or factors inside. Okay? So we're going to pull that GCF out and we're going to write it on the outside of the parentheses. We're going to bring that plus sign down. We don't want to touch it. We just want to bring it down with us. Okay? Now, we're talking about the other factors. So 3 times what number is going to get you 6? Or 3 times what number is going to get you 6x? It's actually going to be 2, and 2 is that other factor we're talking about. Notice 3 and 2. 2 is that other factor that we're leaving on the inside. And we want to bring that x with it. Same for the last one. 3 times what magical number is going to get us 9? If we look at our factor tree, 3 times 3 is going to get us 9. So our other factor that we're leaving in there is 3. And we want to bring the y along with it. Easy, no problem. Our second one that we're going to do together is going to be 3c plus 11c. Ooh. Let's see. They actually have the same variable in this case, so that's pretty cool. They both share a c. Okay, so that's a possibility. Both numbers, if I do factors for 3 and the factors for 11, funny enough, they're prime factors, which means the only factors they share are 1 and itself, and we can't pull out 1. Okay. So what can I pull out that both of these numbers have in common? It's actually going to be that variable, which is actually going to be really nice here. So our GCF is actually going to be C. So we're going to pull C out. So we're going to put C on the outside of the parentheses, bring that plus sign down with it. So C times what is going to give me 3C? It's just going to be 3. C times what number is going to give us 11C? That's just going to be 11. And that's it. We're not simplifying anymore. We are not adding these together. We are just writing an equivalent expression. Okay, so we're just leaving it like that. All right, our last one that you're going to do is 24b plus 8. All right, so if you want to pause the video at this point, so pause the video, try it on your own, then hit play, and I'll see you in a minute. All right, I assumed you've hit pause, you've done it, now you're play, so you're going to watch it. Awesome. So 24b plus 8. Let's look at what we have here. We've got the letter B. Okay, B's only with the 24. It's not with the 8, so I can't pull that out. They don't share that. But I noticed that 24 and 8, all right, I know it's an even number. I actually know 24 is a multiple of 8, so that's awesome. And if you've done your factor trees, or you just kind of know, your GCF is actually going to be 8. So we're going to pull 8 outside of the parentheses. Bring that plus sign down. Okay. So 8 times what number is going to get me 24b? And that's going to be 3b. And then 8 times what number is going to give me 8? That's going to be 1. Easy. Factoring's not too bad. It's that GCF I think is the hardest part on that factoring. Okay. All right. So we're going to close that flap, and we're going to scooch down to the distributing. Okay. Distributing you have seen once before. Again, it's not super new. We're just kind of going over it here. Okay. So distributing. Okay, we got 3 examples here. A, B, and C. I do, we do, you do. Okay. Our first one is going to be 3 times x plus y. Okay. All right, when we distribute, we want to multiply the number outside of parentheses to each term on the inside. This can also include a variable, so numbers are variables. Okay. But you want to use your distributing with multiplication. Okay. So we're going to multiply 3 times each term on the inside. And remember, terms are separated by addition and subtraction. Okay? So, if we write this out in expanded form, we have 3 times x plus 3 times y. Okay? And then we just multiply it out. 3 times x is going to be 3x. Plus 3 times y is going to be 3y. That's it. Not too bad. Alright, our next example that we're going to do together is 4 times 2h plus g. And remember, when we distribute, we want to multiply each number outside parentheses to each term on the inside. So we're going to distribute that 4 to the 2h and as well to the g. So if we write this in expanded form, we have 4 times 2h plus 4 times g. So we should have 4 times 2, which is 8, and the h comes along with, so we have 8h plus 4 times g is just going to be 4g. That's it. And our last one, okay? Our last one is a little bit of a challenge. We have a box here. We have y, and then we have 4x plus 5. So they'll give you a model, and you notice that the width is y, but the length is 4x plus 5. Okay, well, I want to figure out, well, what's on the inside? What is my area here? And remember, area is length times width, so really we just want to multiply the y times the 4x plus 5. Okay? So we're writing this, we want the y times the 4x plus 5. Wow, this looks like a distributing property expression, okay, where I can distribute that y to each term on the inside. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to distribute that y to each term on the inside. Now I have y times 4x plus y times 5. When we simplify this, you always want the number first. So you want the 4 in the front and then x and y. We usually go in alphabetical order. So you want the number and then letters. Plus, again, we want the number first, 5y. So that's it. We have 4xy plus 5y. We distributed that y to the 4x and the y to the 5. Okay? All right, these are for factoring and distributing, okay? The last thing you're gonna do is you're gonna stick glue on this strip. You're gonna stick glue on this strip here and then glue it down in your notebooks and it'll just fly, okay? Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your teacher. Again, we're gonna be using the distributive property a lot, making equivalent expressions. We're gonna be using GCF a lot, so make sure you really pay attention, ask questions, and again, your teacher's here to help you. All right, have a great day.